It's 6 a.m. Perhaps not for you because you're watching this whenever, but the good people of Warsaw are getting up now and they will soon be stuck in giant traffic jams, which is stressful because people in traffic are always in a hurry. If they only had autopilot feature so that they could relax with other passengers. In a few years, this may be the way you'll travel to the office, that is, if you'll still have to visit the office. The car will drive you there, while you can read a newspaper or browse the internet on your smartphone, which is illegal today, and that is why I'm browsing through a magazine because the road code says nothing about magazines. For now, features like these are available only on premium cars and even reading may not be as easy as it seems, but we'll get to that in a moment. After all, Mercedes-Benz E-Class is more than just drive pilot. Mercedes-Benz E-Class W213 was launched at the 2016 Auto Show in Detroit. The car shares a modular platform with the C-Class and the S-Class. The W213 is about 4 cm longer than its predecessor. It's also got 6 cm longer wheelbase, but it is also marginally narrower and lower. Depending on the engine and trim, the new E-Class can be up to 100 kg lighter than the model it replaces. As expected, the new E-Class resembles the C and S-Class, which were built around the Sensual Purity design philosophy. It's got to do with bipolarity of intelligence and emotions, and I'm not making this up. You can check it out on Mercedes-Benz webpage. Generally, I think what it's about is that people are either intelligent or good-looking, and Marek wants to be both. But just because this is a new generation, it does not mean W213 and W212 are completely different. W213 is simply a bit more fluid, whereas in W212 certain details are emphasized with sharp lines, like rear wheel arches, which were supposed to resemble W120, better known as the Ponton. W213 is packed full of new safety features like active brake assist or evasive steering assist, which helps you avoid collision. In case a collision is inevitable, the car will pump the side bolsters to better protect the occupants from the impact, and it will also emit a sound which should offset the sound of the crash. The E-Class can also be specified with adaptive LED lights, which better light the road but at the same time avoid oncoming traffic, so as not to blind other drivers. But the most interesting feature is the autonomous driving system, which I wanted to test as soon as I picked the car up from the press office. Okay, so there's a bunch of cameras, sensors, radars, and they allow the Mercedes-Benz E-Class to travel in semi-autonomous mode. This vague term used by car manufacturers is as good as telling someone you're semi-pregnant. The system we're talking about is called Drive Pilot, and you probably ignored me using it the first time just a minute ago. Most people, including me, think autopilot, as in car drives itself. Okay, so what exactly is this semi-autonomous driving business? It's basically a more advanced combination of lane assist and adaptive cruise control. Now they work better than before, but not good enough to let the car drive itself completely. Situation on the road can be unpredictable, so I can only tell you about some of my experiences with the Drive Pilot, as replicating them would be difficult and potentially dangerous. From my point of view, Drive Pilot works best on relatively straight multi-lane roads at low speeds with a lot of traffic. This is where I can trust Mercedes to follow the car in front, and I can focus on other things. Of course, every now and then the car signals I should make a small move on the steering wheel, so the system knows I'm not asleep. If I do not react to visual signals, audible signals start to appear and the car starts slowing down until it stops completely. The problem is, the car will stop wherever and whenever. For example, on motorway, theoretically hazard lights come on automatically, but only at the very end, so it may be too late for the truck in the back to realize what is going on. In other words, don't try this unless you're having a heart attack. Drive Pilot should also theoretically change lanes when road situation allows it. Just turn on the indicator, and yeah, I tried it a couple of times and it didn't work. Perhaps there was too much traffic. I also failed to fathom the adaptive speed limiter. I suggest you don't rely too much on the system following the car in front of you. A sharper turn and it gets lost. I'm surprised the system doesn't work with SatNav. Besides, Drive Pilot doesn't always see a bicycle or a motorcycle between you and the next car. Or it wants to follow a lane-splitting motorcycle while another car is standing at the lights. All this sounds like a waste of money, but it's not that. Of course, Drive Pilot is not a real autopilot, but it does make drivers' lives easier in some situations. Getting back into a regular car, I miss the assistance. I can't do stuff behind the wheel, which I'm not supposed to do anyway. And perhaps this is why Mercedes limits our access to technology, which, judging by Tesla, is relatively advanced. By the way, some of the maneuvers Drive Pilot makes are too abrupt and too late. A human driver can tell earlier when a car in front is going to brake because he or she can see the light changing ahead and so on. Autonomous cars need to communicate with other cars and elements of the road infrastructure. Before a real autopilot becomes even an option on new cars, lawmakers and car company lawyers will have to regulate how de facto robots will move in city traffic. Robots, which for many years will have to interact with inferior drivers like me and you. Okay, enough about the half-pregnant autopilot, let's talk about the car itself. If I had to describe new Mercedes-Benz E-Class in one word, it would be relaxed. This car doesn't encourage hooning or proving yourself to others. It's a car to discreetly move from one important meeting to another. While writing the script for this episode, I looked at some of the questions I got about the E-Class on YouTube. For example, if the steering has better feel than in W212. Absolutely not. But I didn't expect it. Yes, steering in E63 AMG was a bit disappointing, but in a regular street car? And we go back here to safety systems again, which keep correcting my driving, so I have no clue what the steering really feels like. And I don't care, because I prefer to drive this car in semi-autonomous mode, like Volvo XC90. The suspension. Well, over the years, either the suspension has improved in Mercedes-Benz cars or Polish roads got better. I remember the old air suspension couldn't make up its mind because the roads were so bumpy that the computer was wondering whether the car was actually doing off-road, but then why was it going so fast? So it must be on the motorway, and it just didn't work. Here, air body control works well, it lowers the suspension at motorway speeds, and if you need to cross a rougher stretch of road, you can raise the car with a push of a button. By the way, E220D with a 194 horsepower 2-liter diesel should use less than 4 liters per 100 kilometers combined. Realistically, it's more like 6, around the city it's more like 11 than 7. The engine produces 400 Nm of torque, which you feel especially in Sport and Sport Plus mode. The car will fly before you even touch the gas pedal. 0 to 100 km per hour time of 7.3 seconds is not bad for a 1700 kilogram car. The 9-speed automatic is excellent, it shifts seamlessly and there's always some power reserve under the pedal. The car has good soundproofing, it's comfortable, visibility is... well, actually I can't say because I have a lot of safety systems helping me, including a 360-degree camera. The 540-liter boot is slightly bigger than in BMW 5 Series and Audi A6. There are no shopping bag hooks and there is bare metal on top where backrest release handles are. Seats in the back row fold flat, there is plenty of legroom and headroom for 2 passengers, but I think I found a way for the third adult to fit comfortably. There are also a couple of over-engineered cup holders and some storage in the armrest. Door bins will hold bottles with your drinks. There is 3-zone climate control and a 12-volt socket in the ashtray. In front we get 2 large screens which you can personalize to suit your needs and taste. Some information, like satnav map, can be displayed on both screens. I suppose using two screens with advanced menus limits the number of buttons scattered around the cockpit, but I wouldn't mind an old-fashioned knob to dim the screens. You can operate the two screens with a controller on the center console, as well as two touch cursors on the steering wheel. So, how much does it all cost? The cheapest E-Class starts at €45,000 and this 220D starts at 47. This car also has more than 30 grand worth of options on it, and judging by the manual passenger seat, you can easily make the options worth twice the base model price. Which is why it makes me mad to see a car with infinite number of ambient light settings that also has a squeaky dashboard. Not to mention this cheap, scratchy piano black plastic. The new Mercedes-Benz E-Class is an interesting car which shows which way the future of motoring is going, but don't even think about one without 70 grand to spend. And what do you think about the new E-Class? Or maybe you're a firm believer that W124 was the last true Merc? Let me know in the comments below, share, rate and subscribe, and if you really like this review, please help me make more good stuff and contribute to my Patreon or PayPal. You will find links in the description below. New episodes every Friday. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.